The stars burned cold and distant as the great fleets clashed in the void. Thousands of warships filled the black, their engines glowing like angry suns. The metallic beasts tore at each other with beams of energy that could melt moons. Explosions flashed in every direction, each one a silent scream in the endless dark. The battle between the Velok Dominion and the Trivax Alliance had raged for days. Both sides were desperate, and both knew this battle would decide the fate of half the galaxy. Aboard the Trivax flagship Courageous Dawn, Admiral Revar stood at the command bridge. His gray skin shimmered under the blue emergency lights as the ship trembled from another impact. The crew worked fast and silent. They were warriors of many worlds, slender reptilians, tall insectoids, and pale-skinned synthetics, each focused on their tasks. "Report!" Revar barked, his voice steady even as sparks burst from a console. "Shields at 40%, Admiral. Hull breaches on decks 12 through 15. Enemy cruisers closing fast!" shouted the tactical officer. Revar narrowed his eyes. "We hold this line. The Dominion must not reach the colony worlds." The view screen flickered, showing a swarm of Velok ships advancing, black-spiked vessels, each one alive with cruel light. The Velok were known for their brutality. They conquered planets, stripped them bare, and enslaved survivors. To lose here meant doom for billions. Suddenly, something strange happened. Every sensor on the Courageous Dawn went dark for a second, just one heartbeat of emptiness. Then the tactical display went wild. Dozens of red icons vanished. The crew gasped. "What's happening?" cried a junior officer. "Did the system fail?" Revar turned toward his sensor chief, who looked confused. "Negative, sir," the chief said slowly. "Something just happened to the enemy fleet." On the screen, a massive Velok dreadnought began to break apart. Its armor peeled like paper, its engines exploded one by one, and its power core flared bright before vanishing into nothing. Then another ship died, and another. Within seconds, a dozen Velok vessels were gone, torn apart by invisible force. "Who's firing?" Revar demanded. "Identify the source." Sir, I don't know," said the sensor chief, voice trembling. "No energy readings. No ship signature. It's like they're being destroyed by ghosts." The bridge fell silent. Every officer stared at the chaos outside. The Velok fleet tried to regroup, but more ships exploded. It was as if an unseen hand reached out and crushed them. Then, through the debris field, space began to ripple. A distortion grew, slowly at first, then faster. Light bent, twisted, and cracked. And then, out of nothing, a massive shape appeared. The entire Trivax fleet gasped in unison. A ship had decloaked. But it was not Velok. It was not Trivax. It was unknown. The mysterious vessel was enormous, larger than any known battleship. Its hull was sleek and dark, made of a strange metal that shimmered like liquid glass. There were no markings, no flags, no symbols, only a faint blue glow along its sides, pulsing like a heartbeat. "Get me visual magnification," Revar said quietly. The screen zoomed in. The ship had smooth lines, almost artistic in design, and no visible weapons. Yet the Velok dreadnoughts were dying by the dozens. The communications officer looked up. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission. Audio only." "Put it through." A voice filled the bridge. Calm. Steady. Unlike any alien tongue they had ever heard, it was soft, yet carried weight. "To all combatants, cease fire. This battle ends now." Revar frowned. "Translate that, quickly." The officer hesitated. "Sir, it's already in our system's language." "What?" "The message, it's in Galactic Common." Perfect translation. No accent. No distortion. The bridge crew exchanged uneasy glances. Who could speak the universal tongue so fluently? The voice came again, firmer this time. "Your war is over. Retreat or be removed." Before Revar could respond, the mysterious ship fired. If it could be called firing. A pulse of blue light radiated outward, not like a beam, but like a wave of calm energy. It passed through the Trivax ships harmlessly, but when it reached the Velok, their vessels began to shut down. Engines died, weapons flickered out, and systems went silent. One by one, the mighty Dominion fleet became drifting husks. The battlefield fell quiet. Every soldier, every commander, every living thing in that region of space stared at the silent new arrival. The unknown ship hovered there, unmoving, like a god watching over ants. Revar spoke softly. "Who are they?" No one answered. Then the communications officer said, voice shaking, "Admiral, the ship's identifier just appeared on our scanners. It says U.S. Resolute." Revar frowned. "UHS? What kind of designation is that?" "Unknown human ship, sir." That's what the system labeled it. "It says the vessel is human." The entire bridge froze. Humans were a myth. Lost thousands of years ago, a primitive species said to have vanished from the stars before the modern empires rose. No one had ever seen one. Most believed they had never truly existed. But there it was. A human ship, alive, powerful, and very real. And it had just ended the greatest battle in galactic history. As the courageous Dawn floated in stunned silence, the massive human vessel turned slowly. A deep hum filled the airwaves, and another message came through. "Admiral Revar of the Trivax Alliance. We have been watching. We need to talk." The crew stared at each other in disbelief. The galaxy had just changed forever, and the humans had returned. Admiral Revar stood frozen, his mind struggling to process what he was hearing. The bridge was silent except for the faint hum of damaged systems and the distant echoes of dying ships. The mysterious voice had spoken directly to him. It knew his name. It knew who he was. That alone sent chills down his spine. "Open a channel," Revar said finally, his voice low and careful. "Let's see who's talking to us." The communications officer hesitated, then nodded and opened the channel. "This is Admiral Revar of the Trivax Alliance," he said. "Identify yourself." There was a moment of silence. Then the same calm voice replied, "This is Captain Aaron Hale of the United Human Fleet. Stand by for contact." The words hung heavy in the air. Every officer on the bridge stared at one another. Human, it couldn't be true. Revar took a slow breath. "Captain Hale," he said, "you just ended a war in 5 minutes." "Who are you, really?" The voice chuckled softly, though it sounded more like a sigh. "I'm exactly who I said I am, Admiral. A human. My people have returned, and we are disappointed in what we've found." Before Revar could respond, the image on the main screen shifted. The view zoomed in on the human ship, and for the first time, a visual transmission appeared. The figure on the screen was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a black uniform with a strange emblem on the chest, 2 stars wrapped around a rising sun. His eyes were a sharp gray, and his face carried the calm authority of someone used to command. So this was a human. Revar had expected some kind of monster or myth, but instead the human looked ordinary, almost fragile compared to the towering reptilian Trivax officers. Yet there was something in his expression, something powerful, confident, dangerous. "Captain Hale," Revar said carefully, "humans disappeared from the records over 3,000 cycles ago. You were thought extinct." The man gave a small, cold smile. "We never disappeared, Admiral. We left." The bridge went quiet again. "We left because your kind and the Valok and the others were too busy destroying one another. We watched from afar, waiting to see if you would learn." His voice grew colder. "You didn't." Revar's jaw tightened. "You've been watching us? For how long?" "Long enough," Hale replied. "Long enough to see empires rise and fall. Long enough to see innocent worlds burned. We chose not to interfere. Until now." "Why now?" Hale looked off screen for a moment, then turned back. "Because the Valok crossed a line. They attacked a neutral system under our protection. They didn't know we were still here. Now they do." The realization hit Revar like a meteor. The humans weren't just returning, they were already involved. They had power beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen, and they weren't afraid to use it. "Captain Hale," Revar said slowly, "if your intention is peace, then the Trivax Alliance would welcome—" "Peace?" Hale interrupted, his tone sharp. "Peace will come, Admiral, but not until balance is restored. Your alliance has survived by fighting monsters. Now perhaps it is time to remember what you're fighting for." Revar's brow furrowed. "And what do you expect us to do?" "Survive," Hale said simply. "The Valak are regrouping. They won't stop, but we'll help you end them for good. However, understand this. Humanity will not serve anyone's empire. We act alone." Revar hesitated. "Then why contact us at all?" Hale looked directly into the camera. Because I need something from you. Information. The Valak have been using a weapon. Something ancient. Something not of their making. You've seen its effects, haven't you? Revar's eyes widened. He had. The Valak had unleashed a terrible energy weapon days earlier, one that could erase ships from existence without a trace. The Alliance had no idea how it worked. Yes, Revar admitted quietly. We've lost thousands to it. Hale nodded. Then you've already seen what it can do. That weapon was not built by them. It was human. Gasps filled the bridge. Revar's pulse raced. You're saying the Valak are using your technology? Stolen technology, Hale said. A relic from the early days of our empire. It was never meant for them. We need your help to find where they got it, and who gave it to them. Revar frowned. And what happens if we refuse? And what happens if we refuse? Power surge rising, Lyra warned. Systems are merging, core levels climbing fast. Rin's hands flew over the controls. We're stable, but barely. The Nexus is reacting. The stars outside began to shift. The great rings around the structure turned faster, glowing brighter until the whole system looked alive. Then the alarm screamed. Admiral! Shouted the tactical officer. Corran ships incoming, dozens of them. They're coming out of the gate. Revar's eyes narrowed. All weapons, target the closest. Protect the link. The courageous dawn roared to life. Beams of blue fire cut through the void, striking the Corran vessels. Several exploded instantly, but more poured through the gate like a swarm of locusts. The Nexus itself shuddered as stray blasts struck its surface, sending ripples of light through its structure. Hail! Revar called. We can't hold them forever! Hale's voice came through the comm, strained. Just a little longer. We're almost through the lock! Inside the Nexus, Hale stood surrounded by light. The alien symbols were moving faster now, spinning into alignment. The Quran soldiers had breached the inner corridors, firing at his small human team. The air filled with blue fire and smoke. One of Hale's officers fell beside him. Sir, the core is overloading. I know, Hale said through gritted teeth. Revar, when I give the signal, cut the link and jump out. That's an order, Revar's voice crackled through the static. Not without you. You'll have no choice, Hale replied. If the Nexus resets, you can't be near it. Someone has to stay behind to make sure it doesn't destroy everything. Lyra turned toward Revar, eyes wide. He's going to sacrifice himself. Revar stared at the screen. No, we find another way. But Hale's voice came again, quieter now. There's always another way, Admiral. That's what it means to be human. And then, light. The Nexus exploded with radiance. The gates across the galaxy flared in response, each one pulsing with power. The stars themselves seemed to tremble. Core breach! Lyra cried. It's collapsing! Cut the link! Revar shouted. The courageous dawn tore itself free from the Nexus just as a wave of energy expanded outward. Space twisted, and the massive structure began to fold in on itself, its rings vanishing one by one into pure light. Then, silence. The Corran fleet was gone. The gate was gone. Only a faint blue glow remained where the Nexus had been. Revar stood motionless on the bridge. Report, he said softly. All systems stable, Lyra said. But the human signal is gone, Revar closed his eyes. He did it. For a long time, no one spoke. The stars drifted quietly beyond the viewport. Then Rin said softly, maybe not gone. Maybe he's still out there, somewhere in the network. Revar nodded slowly. If he is, we'll find him. He turned to the crew, his voice firm again. Set course for Alliance Command. The galaxy needs to know what happened here, and they need to be ready, because this isn't over. As the courageous dawn turned toward home, far behind them in the deep black void, a single flicker of light appeared, a human silhouette standing amidst the stars, surrounded by the faint hum of 1,000 awakening gates. Captain Aaron Hale opened his eyes and whispered, Not yet. The screen faded to darkness. But one truth remained clear. Humanity was back. And the galaxy would never be the same again. Hale's eyes hardened. You won't. Because if they're not stopped, that weapon will destroy everything. Your alliance, the Dominion, even us. The screen flickered again as Hale looked off camera. We're sending you coordinates. Meet us there in 20 standard hours. Bring no fleet, no weapons. Just you and your science officers. Understand?" Rivar stared at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Understood." The image cut off. The bridge lights dimmed, leaving the crew in stunned silence. No one spoke for several seconds. Finally, the communications officer whispered, "Admiral, did that really just happen?" Rivar exhaled. "Yes, it did. The humans are back." He turned toward the viewing screen, where the UHS Resolute still hung in space like a shadow among stars. And as he watched, the ship shimmered and vanished. The humans had recloaked. Rivar's second-in-command stepped closer. "Do you trust them, sir?" Rivar stared into the empty void where the human ship had been. "No," he said quietly, "but I think we'll need them." Outside, the wreckage of the Valak fleet drifted through the silence of space. A few surviving enemy ships limped away, their once fearsome fleet shattered. But somewhere, deep within the Dominion's dark territory, others were watching too, recording, analyzing, preparing. The galaxy had been reminded that humans existed, and the news would spread fast. Before long, every empire would want to know, were the humans saviors or the next conquerors? The journey to the meeting point was tense. The courageous Dawn moved through empty space, its engines running quiet. No escort ships followed. Admiral Rivar had obeyed the humans' demand completely. Only his small crew remained, each one uneasy and silent. The coordinates given by Captain Hale led them far beyond known borders, into an uncharted sector no Trivax ship had ever entered. The stars here looked different, fewer, colder, sharper. Space itself felt heavy, like something ancient and powerful was watching. Rivar stood on the bridge, arms folded behind his back, staring into the dark. "Status?" he asked. "Navigation stable, Admiral," replied the pilot, her voice tight. "Entering the designated coordinates in 60 seconds. Any sign of the human ship?" "None, sir." "Scanners are clear." Rivar nodded, though it brought no comfort. He had replayed the transmission from Captain Hale 100 times since the battle. The man's calm tone still echoed in his mind. The humans had disappeared for 3,000 years, yet returned with technology that could erase fleets in seconds. Now they wanted a meeting. Alone. The courageous Dawn slowed to a stop. Before them stretched a dead world, gray, lifeless, scarred by old craters. No atmosphere, no cities, no lights. Just dust and rock. "Coordinates match, sir," said the sensor chief. "But I'm detecting something strange below the surface. Large metallic structures, deep underground." Rivar leaned forward. "Structures? How deep?" "About 20 kilometers, sir. Massive energy signatures, old but still active." The crew exchanged nervous glances. Then suddenly space shimmered. The UHS Resolute decloaked again, silent and majestic. Its sheer size dwarfed the Trivax ship. For a moment, no one breathed. "Receiving transmission," said the comms officer. "Put it through." Captain Hale's voice filled the bridge once more. "Welcome, Admiral." "You made good time. Follow our landing beacon to the surface." Rivar frowned. "Landing? You want us to go down there?" "That's right," Hale replied. "Bring only 3 officers. The rest stay aboard. We'll talk face to face." The channel closed. Rivar looked around the bridge. "You heard him? Prepare a shuttle." Within minutes, a small transport craft left the courageous Dawn and descended toward the gray planet. Rivar sat inside, his 2 chosen officers beside him, a scientist named Lyra, with sharp green eyes and quiet focus, and Commander Jaro, his battle-hardened second-in-command. None spoke as the shuttle pierced the thin veil of dust around the world. Soon they saw it, an entrance. A circular hatch built into the ground, glowing faint blue. As they approached, the hatch opened on its own, revealing a long tunnel descending into the planet's core. The shuttle landed softly, and the trio stepped out. The air was thin but breathable. Artificial lights glowed along the tunnel walls, guiding them forward. "Strange," Lyra murmured. "This construction, it's human, but older than anything in our databases. The design uses hybrid materials, part metal, part nanocarbon, part something else." "Stay sharp," Rivar said. They walked for what felt like forever until the tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. And there, standing at the center, was Captain Hale. He looked exactly as before, calm, tall, commanding. Around him were several other humans, each dressed in dark uniforms with silver insignia. Their eyes followed the newcomers, but their expressions remained unreadable. "Welcome to Outpost Theta," Hale said, stepping forward. "One of the first human colonies beyond Sol. We left it hidden after our departure." Revar glanced around. The room was filled with technology far beyond anything he had ever seen. Floating consoles, silent drones, shimmering energy fields. It felt more like a temple than a military base. "So it's true," Revar said quietly. "You really did leave, but why? Why abandon the galaxy?" Hale studied him for a moment. "Because we had to. We destroyed ourselves once before, Admiral. We built weapons too powerful, too dangerous. When we realized what we'd done, we chose exile over extinction." Lyra frowned. "Exile? You left everything behind?" Hale nodded. "We went beyond the galactic rim. We built a new civilization hidden and silent, watching from afar. But now, something has changed." He gestured toward a holographic display. The image showed a massive black structure floating in space, a fortress larger than a moon. Energy readings pulsed across it like a heartbeat. "This," Hale said, "is the weapon you've seen, the Valox Eraser Cannon. It can disintegrate matter at the molecular level. It was one of ours, a prototype. It should never have existed." Revar stared at the image. "How did the Valok get it?" Hale's face darkened. "That's what we need to find out. But our scans show the weapon's power core has been modified. Someone helped them rebuild it. Someone not Valok. Another empire?" Jarrow asked. "Maybe," Hale said. "Or maybe one of yours," Revar bristled. "You think the Alliance gave them human technology? That's absurd." "Is it?" Hale countered. "Your Alliance trades secrets with half the galaxy. What if one of your scientists found a human relic centuries ago and sold it? We've seen this pattern before." The accusation stung, but Revar said nothing. Hale stepped closer. "We're not your enemy, Admiral. But understand this. If anyone else is using human weapons, we'll find them. And we'll end them." Revar met his gaze. "Then let us help. We have intelligence networks across Dominion space. We can trace the weapon's energy signature." Hale paused, then nodded. "Agreed, you'll share what you find. In return, we'll stop the Valak offensive." Lyra tilted her head. "And after that? What happens when the war ends?" Hale's expression softened. "Then we see if this galaxy deserves peace." A silence followed, heavy with meaning. Finally, Revar extended his hand, a gesture rarely used among his kind, but one he knew humans valued. Hale looked at it, then shook it firmly. "Welcome back, Captain Hale," Revar said quietly. "Let's hope your return brings salvation, not ruin." Hale gave a small, almost sad smile. "That depends, Admiral. On what we all do next." Above them, far beyond the planet's dead sky, stars flickered. Somewhere in the darkness, the Valok prepared for vengeance, and others listened in silence, plotting their next move. The humans were no longer just legends. They were players once more in the great game of the galaxy. The galaxy had begun to whisper. Stories spread fast, too fast. The Valok Dominion, still reeling from their defeat, called it a lie. The Trivax Alliance called it a miracle. And everywhere else, smaller empires and merchant guilds called it what it truly was, a warning. The humans were back. Admiral Revar's fleet limped home through deep space, bruised but alive. The news of the mysterious UHS Resolute had already reached the High Council before he even arrived. Every politician, scientist, and general wanted answers. The courageous Dawn docked at Orbital Station 9, a vast metal ring floating above the silver world of Triumph Prime. As Revar stepped off the docking bridge, a group of soldiers saluted, their eyes filled with quiet awe. He ignored the stares and marched straight toward the council chambers. Inside, 12 counselors sat around a glowing table, their faces illuminated by the soft light of holograms. The room smelled of old air and tension. "Admiral Revar," said Counselor Metron, a tall, thin being with translucent skin. "You've caused quite the disturbance. The entire galaxy now believes in the return of humans. Tell us, are the rumors true?" Revar stood tall, his voice steady. "They are not rumors, Counselor. The humans have returned. I spoke with their commander. Captain Aaron Hale. He helped us end the battle at Graven Prime and saved billions of lives." A murmur spread across the chamber. "Do you expect us to believe that one ship destroyed an entire Dominion fleet?" asked another counselor, voice sharp with disbelief. Ravar's eyes narrowed. "I saw it with my own eyes. They wield technology we cannot even begin to understand. The Valak dreadnoughts were torn apart like they were made of paper. Counselor Metrin leaned forward. "And what do they want?" "They claim to seek balance," Ravar said. "They're hunting a weapon, the same one the Valak used against us. They say it was of human design, long lost and somehow stolen." That brought silence. Even the most skeptical counselors exchanged uneasy glances. "Then they bring danger with them," Metrin finally said. "If their weapons still exist, if their knowledge still lingers, they are a threat to every living being." "Or a shield," Ravar countered. "Without them, we'd all be dust. The Valak would have crushed us. The humans ended that war in minutes." Metran's eyes glowed faintly. "Perhaps. But power that great never comes without a price." Before Ravar could answer, the chamber lights flickered. A tone sounded across the room, an emergency signal from Deep Space Command. The counselors turned as a holographic officer appeared, his face pale. "Counselors," he said breathlessly, "we've received a distress signal from Outpost Theta, the location Admiral Revar visited. The base is under attack." Rivar's blood ran cold. "By who?" "Unknown," the officer replied. Transmission cut off mid-signal. But sensors picked up multiple energy signatures, non-Valak, non-Trivax. "Show it." The hologram changed, showing a grainy image of the dead world where Revar had met Captain Hale. Explosions lit the surface, bright as suns. Strange ships swarmed the human outpost, small, angular, and painted with glowing red markings. Lyra, standing quietly behind Revar, whispered, "Those symbols, I've seen them before. In the old archives." Revar turned sharply. "Where?" "In the ruins of the Koran Belt," she said. "A dead civilization wiped out thousands of years ago. They vanished, long before the Alliance even formed." The council chamber erupted in confusion. "Impossible!" shouted one counselor. "The Koran are extinct." "Apparently not," Revar said grimly. The hologram shifted again, this time showing a flash of blue light. The Resolute had appeared, decloaking in a storm of energy. Its shields flared as the unknown ships attacked. "They're fighting back," Revar said. But then something strange happened. The human ship didn't fire. Instead, it emitted a wave of blinding energy, like before, but weaker, controlled. It pushed the enemy fleet back, scattering them across the surface. And then the image cut to black. "Transmission lost," said the holographic officer. Revar clenched his fists. "They're in trouble." Counselor Metrin leaned forward. "You intend to go after them, don't you?" "Yes," Revar said. "The humans saved us. Now we return the favor." Metrin frowned. "That would be unwise. If these Koran are truly back, we could be walking into a trap." Revar turned to face the entire council. "If it's a trap, then it's one we face together. The humans' return has already changed the balance of power. If they fall, the galaxy falls with them." The council chamber filled with heavy silence. Then slowly, Metrin nodded. "Very well, Admiral. Take a small strike group. Find out what happened at Outpost Theta, but do not engage unless necessary." Revar saluted. "Understood." Minutes later, back aboard the Courageous Dawn, Revar stood on the command bridge once again. His crew moved with renewed purpose. "Prepare jump drive," he ordered. "Set course for Outpost Theta." The stars outside stretched into lines of light as the ship leapt into hyperspace. Lyra sat beside him, watching the console. "Do you think the humans can really handle this?" Revar looked at her, his face unreadable. "They said they left because they feared their own power. Maybe now we'll see why." Hours later, as the Courageous Dawn emerged from hyperspace, the crew fell silent. Outpost Theta was gone. The surface of the planet had been scorched into glass. The great underground chambers were nothing but smoking craters. And the Resolute, the mighty human ship, was nowhere to be seen. Only debris floated where it had once been. Lyra gasped softly. "No, they can't be gone." Revar stared at the wreckage, feeling a chill deeper than space itself. "Don't be so sure," he said quietly. "Humans have a way of surviving the impossible." Then, from the corner of the sensor display, a faint signal blinked, weak, distorted, but alive. "Admiral," the sensor officer shouted. "It's them. We're picking up a distress beacon. Human origin." Revar's eyes hardened. "Lock on! Follow that signal!" The courageous Dawn turned slowly toward the darkness, engines flaring to life once more. Whatever waited ahead, Revar knew one thing for certain. The humans weren't finished yet. And neither was the war. The distress signal grew stronger as the courageous Dawn pushed deeper into the uncharted void. The stars here were dim and red, like dying embers, and the air inside the ship seemed colder than usual. Every crew member felt it, the sense of being watched, the kind of silence that made even the hum of the engines sound too loud. "Signal lock confirmed," said the sensor chief. "It's definitely human origin. Weak but constant, bearing 041 by 22. "Visuals?" Revar asked. "Nothing yet, sir. It's coming from a dense debris field ahead." Revar stared at the black expanse ahead. Shattered rock and metal floated like ghosts, drifting slowly in the void. "Bring us in carefully," he ordered. "Scan for life signs." The courageous Dawn crept forward. Pieces of wreckage tumbled past the viewports, bits of ships, burned and twisted beyond recognition. Among them, fragments of human metal glimmered faintly. Then Lyra spoke softly from her console. "Admiral, I have something." Faint readings. One life sign, maybe two. "It's coming from a small craft ahead. On screen." The image appeared, an escape pod, half buried in wreckage. It drifted slowly, lights flickering. "Tractor it in," Revar ordered. Minutes later, the pod was brought aboard. A team of medics hurried to the docking bay while Revar and Lyra followed close behind. The pod door hissed open, revealing smoke, sparks, and a single figure slumped inside. A human. The man was tall, though pale and burned, his uniform torn and blood-stained. His eyes flickered open as the medics lifted him out. Where am I?" he whispered. "You're aboard the Trivax vessel Courageous Dawn," Revar said. "You're safe now." The man blinked slowly. "Admiral Revar. Hale told me about you." Revar leaned closer. "You know Captain Hale?" The man coughed weakly. "I'm Commander Rin, second officer of the Resolute. We were ambushed. They came out of nowhere." "Who?" Lyra asked gently. "The Quran," he said, his voice trembling. "They're not extinct. They've returned, and they're using our technology against us." Revar and Lyra exchanged grim looks. "What happened to the Resolute?" Revar asked. Rin's gaze turned distant, haunted. "Captain Hale ordered us to cloak the ship, but the Quran used a pulse that cut through everything. They hit us hard. We lost power, lost shields. Hale stayed behind. He said he had to trigger the failsafe." "Failsafe?" Rin swallowed hard. "If the Quran breached the core, he planned to detonate the primary reactor. To stop them from taking it." Revar's stomach tightened. "Are you saying he destroyed his own ship?" "No," Rin whispered. "He activated something else, something ancient. The Resolute wasn't just a ship. It was built around a human artifact, a gate. A weapon, maybe. I don't know. But when it activated, the whole system changed." Revar frowned. "Changed how?" Rin looked up at him, eyes wide with fear. "The stars moved." Before anyone could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared. "Admiral," came the voice of the bridge officer over the comm. "Multiple contacts incoming. Unknown vessels, fast and heavily armed." Revar turned toward the medics. "Get him to the infirmary now!" He and Lyra ran back to the bridge. The moment the doors opened, the forward view lit up with crimson energy bolts. Strange, sharp-edged ships darted through the darkness, firing with deadly precision. "Quran ships confirmed," shouted the tactical officer. "They just decloaked right in front of us." "Shields up!" Revar barked. "Return fire!" Blue beams lanced out from the Courageous Dawn, striking one of the attackers and tearing it apart. But three more replaced it. The enemy ships moved like predators, swift, coordinated, merciless. "Admiral," Lyra said urgently, "they're not just attacking us, they're scanning us. They're looking for the human signal." "Then let's give them nothing to find," River said. "Prepare decoy drones! Launch all squadrons!" Drones and fighter craft shot from the courageous dawn, filling space with light and motion. The Coran ship split apart, chasing the false signals. "Jump drive ready," said the navigator. "Plot random coordinates," Revar ordered. "Anywhere but here." "Coordinates set. Jump!" Space stretched and twisted as the courageous dawn vanished into hyperspace. Moments later, the ship reappeared in the calm of an unknown region. Everyone on the bridge exhaled, trembling from the close escape. Revar sat down slowly, rubbing his temples. "Report." "Minor damage," the engineer said. "Shields at 60%. Engines stable. We lost 4 drones." Lyra turned from her console. "Admiral, before the jump, I caught a faint signal from the surface of Theta. It was encrypted, but definitely human." Revar looked up sharply. "Hale?" "I think so," she said. "It carried his command code." Revar stood, his resolve hardening. "Then he's alive." "But if he activated that artifact," Lyra said quietly, "we have no idea what he might have unleashed." Revar stared out the viewport, the stars shining cold beyond the glass. "Whatever it is," he said, "we'll find him. Before the Coran do." "Whatever it is," he said, "we'll find him. Before the Coran do." Unseen by the crew, deep in the darkness behind them, the shattered remnants of Outpost Theta glowed faintly. Pieces of the planet's surface began to rise, pulled upward by invisible force. A swirling light formed above the ruins, blue, bright and growing. Somewhere far away, across the galaxy, an ancient machine stirred from its long sleep, and the war for the future of every living world had just begun. The courageous dawn drifted through the black quiet of deep space, its engines dimmed to half power. The crew moved carefully, speaking in low tones as if afraid of waking something. The battle had shaken them. Every face showed exhaustion. Every eye carried questions no one could answer. Admiral Revar stood alone in the observation deck, hands clasped behind his back. Before him stretched the endless night, scattered with lonely stars. He had fought wars before, seen terrible weapons and strange foes, but never anything like this. Never enemies who rose from extinction. Never humans wielding power that could reshape the stars themselves. Lyra approached quietly. "Admiral," she said softly, "Commander Rin is stable. He's awake." Revar turned. "Good. I need answers." They walked together to the infirmary. Rin lay on a bed surrounded by humming medical drones. His face was pale but determined. When he saw Revar, he tried to sit up. "Don't," Revar said gently. "You're still healing." Rin shook his head. "Healing won't matter if we're too late." Revar frowned. "Too late for what?" Rin's eyes flickered toward the ceiling, as if searching for words. "The artifact. The one inside the Resolute. It wasn't just a gate, it was a failsafe left by the First Human Empire. It connects to others like it, hidden across the galaxy. If one activates, they all respond." Lyra's breath caught. "You mean it's part of a network?" Rin nodded weakly. "A network of machines built before humanity vanished. Designed to rebuild, to restore, or to destroy, depending on who commands it. Captain Hale knew this. That's why he stayed behind." Revar felt his chest tighten. "You're saying Hale triggered it on purpose?" Rin met his gaze. He didn't have a choice. The Quran were about to take control of it. If they'd succeeded, they could have remade worlds or erased them. Lyra looked uneasy. "And now that it's active?" Rin's voice lowered. "Now it's awake, and it's calling to others." Before anyone could respond, the ship trembled slightly. The lights flickered. A faint hum filled the air, low, rhythmic, almost alive. Revar glanced upward. "What is that?" Lyra ran to the wall terminal, typing quickly. "Sir, we're picking up a gravitational fluctuation ahead. It's not natural. Space itself is bending." On screen. The main display came alive with a view of distant space, empty at first, then rippling like water. A blue light bloomed in the darkness, spreading outward in swirling waves. Rin's face went pale. "It's one of the gates. Another one just activated." Revar watched as the swirling light grew brighter, brighter, then stabilized into a glowing circle large enough to swallow a city. Where does it lead? Revar asked. No one knows, Rin said. The network links worlds that haven't existed for millennia. Some might be lost colonies. Others might be something else. Lyra turned, her eyes wide. Admiral, I'm detecting power signatures inside the gate, massive energy readings. Something is coming through, Revar straightened. Battle stations! The crew rushed to their posts. The gate pulsed once, then twice, and then, with a soundless flash, ships emerged. But they weren't Corran. The vessels that came through were smooth, dark, and strangely elegant, like shards of glass drifting through the void. Each ship emitted a faint white glow. They formed a perfect formation, silent and precise. Identification? Revar demanded. Unknown, said the tactical officer. No match in any galactic database. They're not Valok, not human, not Corran. They're something new. The bridge fell silent. The new ships just floated there, watching. Then one of them transmitted a signal. No words, just a repeating pattern of tones. Rin frowned, concentrating. That's a human code. An old one, from the pre-exile era. Revar's eyes narrowed. Translate it. Rin worked the console for several seconds, then looked up slowly. It says, Protocol Alpha restored. Awaiting command authority. Lyra stared at him. Command authority? From who? Rin hesitated. From a human. The bridge went cold. Revar turned to him. If Hale survived, could he be the one giving orders? Rin shook his head. No, not yet. The signal's system level, it's automated. But if Hale finds another gate, he could control the entire network. That's what the Corran want. That's what we have to stop. Or help, Lyra said quietly. If these machines are powerful enough to restore what's been lost, maybe they could rebuild what the wars destroyed. Revar gave her a grim look. Or destroy what's left. Before the argument could continue, a new signal appeared on the screen. Another transmission, this one clear and direct. A voice spoke, calm but urgent. This is Captain Aaron Hale of the United Human Fleet. To any Alliance ships receiving this message, do not engage the new vessels. They are not the enemy. I repeat, they are not the enemy. Revar's heart jumped. He's alive. The voice continued, a little distorted but unmistakable. The network is awakening faster than expected. The Corran are trying to seize control, but something else is happening. The gates are opening on their own. We're running out of time. If you can hear this, meet me at the coordinates encoded in this transmission. Bring no weapons. Bring trust. The message ended. The coordinates appeared on the screen, far across the void near the galactic rim. Revar stared at them for a long moment. Set course, he said quietly. Lyra hesitated. Sir, what if this is a trap? Revar didn't look at her. Then we'll walk into it with our eyes open. The courageous Dawn turned slowly, its engines flaring to life. The mysterious fleet of white glowing ships drifted aside, clearing a path as if they understood. The blue gate pulsed again, casting light across the bridge like the shimmer of dawn. As they entered the jump corridor, Rin whispered, If Hale really has control of the network, he's no longer just a captain. Revar looked out the viewport, watching the stars blur into streaks. Then let's hope he remembers what it means to be human. Far behind them, in the silent dark, the newly arrived fleet began to move. Their lights flickered once, then vanished, as if melting into the void. The galaxy was changing faster than anyone could imagine, and somewhere at the edge of creation, the ancient human network was awakening. The courageous Dawn emerged from hyperspace into a silent storm of light. Before the crew stretched a sight no one could describe without awe or fear, a colossal structure floating above a dying star. It was not built by any living species they knew. It looked like a cathedral carved from the bones of space itself, made of black metal and white light, endlessly turning in slow motion. Around it, dozens of glowing rings spun and hummed like a living machine. The coordinates match, Lyra said quietly. This is the source of Hale's signal. Revar stepped closer to the viewport. The massive structure pulsed with blue and silver energy, the same color as the gates. Is it a station? He asked. Rin, now standing beside her, shook his head. No, Admiral. It's the Nexus, the core of the human gate network. Every portal, every artifact, they all connect here. Revar's jaw tightened. And Hale's inside. A new signal flashed across the console. "Incoming transmission," said the communications officer. "It's him." The screen flickered to life, and Captain Aaron Hale's face appeared. He looked worn, his uniform torn, eyes shadowed with exhaustion, but still steady, still commanding. "Admiral Revar," he said. "You made it." Revar nodded. "Barely. We thought you were dead." "Not yet," Hale said. "But if we don't act now, we'll all wish I was." Behind him, blue light filled the air. Strange symbols floated in patterns across the walls, ancient and alien yet oddly human. "What is this place?" Lyra asked. Hale turned, motioning toward the symbols. "This is what humanity left behind when we vanished. The Nexus controls every gate in the network. It was meant to be a safeguard, a way to restart civilization if it ever fell." "Restart?" Revar repeated. "How?" Hale looked grim. "By wiping the slate clean. The network was designed to reset the galaxy. Erase chaos. Begin again." Lyra's eyes widened. "Erase, you mean destroy?" "Recreate," Hale corrected quietly. "But yes, to rebuild everything must first end," Revar's voice hardened. "And the Quran want to use it." "They're already inside," Hale said. "They think they can control it, but the Nexus doesn't obey them. It only responds to humans. They're trying to override the core. If they succeed, the entire network could collapse or activate at full power. Either way, everything dies." "Then we stop them," Revar said. Hale nodded. "That's why I called you. The Nexus is protected by fields even our technology can't breach from within. But your ship's systems, your energy patterns, they're unique. Alien code, untouched by human design. If we merge our systems, we can break the Coran lockout before they trigger the failsafe." Revar's crew exchanged nervous glances. "You want us to link our ship to this thing?" Lyra asked. "We don't even understand it." "Neither do I," Hale admitted. "But it's the only chance we have." Revar studied him for a long moment. Then he gave a single firm nod. "Do it." The connection sequence began. Blue lines of light spread across the courageous Dawn's hull, linking it to the Nexus through invisible energy threads. The ship trembled as alien and human technology fused for the first time.